the meeting to order and ask for a roll call.
Hilliard.
Here.
Leach.
Here.
Newman.
Here.
Menold. Parrott.
Here.
Blunier.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Join me in Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There's no public hearing or presentations. Any public comment?
Good evening, everyone. Lee Ann Brown with the Morton Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development Council. Tonight, just first and foremost, want to congratulate and thank the Park District. Just a wonderful community event that they and many other volunteers brought forth for our community for the 4th of July. And then also, Pumpkin Festival well underway. So again, Pumpkin Festival 2021 is happening. We're still hearing questions out there of, is it going to happen and to what capacity? Full capacity Pumpkin Festival. So spread the word, September 15th through the 18th. But we're starting early this year. So August 7th at Potter's Alley from 4 to 7, we'll be hosting a chili cook-off and a event with a lot of family activities supporting MYBA, and also a band and other activities. And then inside we'll have our recipe challenge. So currently registration's open if somebody wants to make some chili and enter into the chili cook-off or the recipe challenge. Those registrations are open. So again, August 7th we'll kick off the festival activities, Potter's Alley from 4 to 7. More details to roll out, but registration is open for a brand new chili cook-off and then our traditional recipe challenge. So join the fun starting August 7th.
Thank you. The consent agenda tonight is the approval of the minutes. The regular meeting, June 21 of 2021, and the approval of the bills. If we could have a motion.
Move approval.
Second.
Any comments? Call the roll.
Parrott.
Yes.
Hilliard.
Yes.
Blunier.
Yes.
Leach.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. All I have tonight is I'd like to pay for those fabulous fireworks that we helped the Park District do. So we were going to award them $10,000. So if we could have they pay $10,000, we pay $10,000. So those fireworks were $20,000 shot off.
So moved. Second.
Any questions?
Yes, Your Honor. Just which fund are we going to use to pay that? General or tourism?
What have we been using?
We normally pay it out of the tourism fund.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
I thought that was the answer, but I thought she better answer that one. Any other questions? Call the roll.
Hilliard.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
Blunier.
Yes.
Parrott.
Yes.
Leach.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Village clerk,
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
village administrator,
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
chief of police,
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
corporation counsel,
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
and director of public works.
One item tonight, Your Honor. I'd like to ask for acceptance of change order number 1 to R.A. Cullinan and Son. This would be for the mill and overlay of West Ashland and Ashland Court as part of the 2021 mill and overlay project in the amount of $371,554.90. Eyes aren't as good as they used to be.
Move
Yeah.
to approve. Second.
Second. Okay, Craig, you want to explain anything?
Yeah, I sent some of you an email and discussed this with some of you. I had thought about overlaying this year and then tried to push it. Unfortunately, if you guys were up on North Morton a couple weeks ago, we were experiencing some, bleeding, tracking really bad, and actually even pulling up some of the pavement. So we had reconstructed some of the inlets, the curb, And I think instead of waiting a year, I think now's the time. Cullinan's on East Ashland already. So with that, we're still under budget. The only thing different here is it's not going out for bid. We're kind of tagging on to the other contract. But with that, you'll see what I put in there. I'd like to go with the little heavier duty mix. So there's some options in there. And I'd like to go with the 2.5-inch mill and overlay. And this would be the stone matrix mix, which is a heavier duty for some of the traffic, some of the ag stuff, the dozers, low boys that are on West Ashland. So that's an additional $20,000 on top of what would have been the normal bid price. And this will all be done by, pay items. So I put the 371. That's based on our quantities, but whatever we come up with out there, that'll be the final cost. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
I guess just what did you have left over in the budget prior to this?
I had about $500,000
Okay.
is where I was at. So I still think I'll be under, but not by a whole lot.
Right.
What's the pavement thickness there?
It's a full depth asphalt there. So I believe it's 8 inches thick.
Okay.
So it'll be nice, with the 2.5 on the top. Should last a very long time.
Any other questions? Call the roll.
Leach.
Yes.
Parrot.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
Blunier.
Yes.
Hilliard.
Yes.
Motion carries.
That's all.
That's all I have tonight, Your Honor.
Zoning and code enforcement.
I have 2 items tonight, Your Honor. First item is ordinance 22-05. It's an ordinance making amendments regarding sign regulations to Chapter 9 of Title 10 of the Morton Municipal Code.
So moved.
Second.
Want to explain that a little bit, or?
So in your packet, you received a copy of the ordinance that has a map. Within this map, we identified this area as a good location to allow up to a 75-foot tall business sign. In this area, we currently have 16 signs that exceed the 30 and 35-foot maximum that are already there. So we had some interest in some properties with businesses within this mapped area that desire a taller sign for the interstate, so people can see that coming off the interstate. So we identified this as an easier way for them to put that sign up without having to request a variance.
The signs that are presently there that exceed, is it 30 feet?
30 and 35. 30 feet for B3 and industrial is 35.
How tall are some of those signs?
Up to 75. So there's 4 signs that are 75 feet tall currently, and then there is 12 that are less than that,
Okay.
but above the allowed 30 and 35.
So the tallest signs out there are 75?
Yes.
Any other questions? Call the roll.
Hilliard.
Yes.
Leach.
Yes.
Blunier.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
Parrot.
Yes.
Motion carries.
My next item tonight, Your Honor, is ordinance 22-06, an ordinance making amendments regarding detached garages to chapters 2 and 5 of Title 10 of the Morton Municipal Code.
So moved.
Second.
Want to explain that a little bit?
So this ordinance, we currently have a definition for private garage that we just felt like it needed cleaned up. When I say cleaned up, maybe to focus some more factual content of what a private garage, detached garage is. And it gives, there's a list of 9 different things that qualify it to be a detached private garage. And so when somebody comes in for a permit for a detached garage, this will give them a clear avenue of what can be done as far as sizes, materials, where it can be, and such. So this just kind of helps me when someone comes in. It gives me the guideline as well. I can just check that off.
Any questions, comments?
What did you do for guidance prior to this?
Well, that's a good question. as it states in there now, it said it can house no more than 4 vehicles, so there really was no criteria. So fortunately, on my benefit, I did not have to do very many that exceeded what would be a normal 24.5 by 24.5 size garage, and that's kind of where the problem lies. I felt like I needed something to be able to be consistent to tell citizens when they came in what they could do, as opposed to just using my judgment.
So currently, or up to this point, other than what's stated in the definition, 10.2.1, I guess what's being proposed in 10.5.3, the new paragraphs, that's totally new language.
Yes.
That's basically providing the guidance, how big,
Yes.
meet setbacks, all that stuff. So prior to that, you were just,
Well, it had to meet setbacks.
yeah, it always
So-
had to meet
So
setbacks.
it was always constrained a little bit by setbacks.
Yeah.
And then height was always constrained by the permitted height in residential.
Well, like the sidewall height, that's
That was new.
really
That was not.
new.
Correct, that's new.
Okay.
Correct. So before
I
it
mean,
could
it
have
seems
been.
reasonable,
Yes.
I mean, stated there. I mean, it looks good, but I'm surprised we didn't have something a little more definitive previous.
I'd say we've been concerned for quite a while.
Mhm.
We've had a few examples that got some negative feedback. That's where him and I think the intent is, let's make sure it fits on the lot. You know, in a lot of cases, and I don't know if you want me to go here, Pat, but I see a lot of people buying older properties because it's cheaper, and then they want to maximize the garage on that site, which is fine, but that's why we're here tonight, to make sure, I think, with all those little details, is to make sure whatever's put on the lot, it somewhat matches, you know, keeps up with the neighborhood. Is that a fair statement?
Because it really pertains in the part of town where there is a detached garage currently, or maybe no garage. So a lot of people want to tear down that single stall garage they have and make something bigger.
And I guess I just have a comment. I appreciate us doing the work to clean some of this stuff up, to give definition, because I think, you know, in the public's view, you know, if I come in and say I want to build a garage, how big can I go? And you're like, well, kind of. I think that would frustrate me. I would rather have, you know, a set of guideline. Okay, here's what you can do. And I looking through here, I don't see any of these as being. I mean, I think setbacks are probably still going to restrict you more than, you know, square foot. 1,000 square foot garage is a big garage, and I can't think of very many properties in town with a detached garage that would have the space on their lot to put in, you know, that size garage. And I don't see these being limiting, but more just giving guidance. I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, we felt like it was supposed to be a private garage, and I felt that people were using it more than a private garage. Once you get so big, now you're using it more of a maybe renting out storage units and such. It's not really a private garage any longer.
So this is another example of, since you've taken over as enforcement officer, identifying areas where we can improve to be more consistent and fair to everybody. And so hats off to you again for
Thank you.
finding another opportunity.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Call the roll.
Parrot,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
Hilliard,
Yes.
Linier,
Yes.
Leach.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I have nothing else tonight, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Leach.
Yes, Your Honor. A couple items. First one is the Starcom radio purchase. If you'll remember, in January, I came and explained the opportunity to participate in the Tazewell County ETSB radio purchase program. We made a commitment then. They needed to know if we were going to participate or not. We agreed to participate. And from that, then 2 weeks ago, talked to you about the opportunity for a 5-year warranty program, that if we ordered by a certain date, June 30th, we could get an extended 2 years of warranty on the radios that we purchase. With that, the police department, public works, and paramedics worked together. Julie is the one who created the purchase order that you have in front of you. And you'll see the amount for each of those departments. The police and paramedics had allowed a budget amount. Public Works had not. There was the thought that it would start up after May 1st of next year, so didn't get a quote or allow for a budget at the time. So we didn't have in our budget that amount for Public Works, but when we come back in 2 weeks, the appropriation ordinance will have that amount listed in it. Also, the fire department is not included in the quote. They had applied for a federal grant, which meant that they could not have budgeted any money for the purchase of those radios. So they won't, the radios that they get won't have the 5-year warranty, because there's still the opportunity that the fire department grant could be approved, but we just don't know when. I think if you remember 2 weeks ago, Chief Kelly talked about, I think you might have even felt some of his frustration. He just doesn't know. There's no commitment on when the federal government will make a definition or define who gets what. So fire department is not included in this. This is the paramedics only, and we had money in the budget for paramedics. So with that, I would move approval of the purchase. This purchase order has been turned in as of last week, but I would move approval of the purchase of $257,771.43 for the purchase of radios.
Second.
Any other comments?
I just have a comment that if you remember back when we started consolidating the dispatch center, and we had a subject come in and assist us with that, one of the things that he looked at was the communications and radios and looking how to do that. And I know that the ETSB had formed a committee and was looking at a couple of different options. It's not dire straits that we have to go to this at this point, but the Tazewell County Sheriff's Department, Pekin, is in dire straits. They're way past due on the system that they're at, and as Chief Miller will tell you, this will put us on the same system as them. And one of the things that concerns first responders when they get to disasters is the communication operability, being able to communicate with one another, and it's very important. And I think that this allows us to do that and allows us to do that sooner. So it's very beneficial for our police and fire and the medics as well.
Thanks for that explanation. Any other comments? Call the roll.
Newman.
Yes.
Leach.
Yes.
Hilliard.
Yes.
Parrott.
Yes.
Blunier.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Any of the other trustees have anything?
I've got one more item, Your Honor, sorry.
Oh, you do, don't you?
Yep. The Business Sustainability Grant, it's a third extension opportunity that the State of Illinois DCEO has given to us. They are saying that we can allow expenses through the end of this year to be included in the grant, but you still have to show a 25% reduction in revenues over 2019. So it would seem like that the January through May might be easy for people to show those types of reductions of income, but June with the opening up of the state of Illinois might be a little bit harder. So the question that I would ask you is that do we wait till say October or November 30th and ask them to turn in their grant application then, so that they can include as much of this year as possible if they have a 25% reduction, but there may not be, after really May of this year, or do we set a sooner time or do a double? From my perspective, I would just like one. I would recommend, say, November 30th, turn it in. We could review it in December and, make the grants, if there are any applications then, rather than doing several between now and then. But I don't want to be the only one suggesting that, so I don't know if any of the rest of you have an opinion about it or not.
Remind me how much we have left.
About a little over 100,000,
Okay.
maybe 104.
Okay.
Oh, the other question is do we up the maximum amount? The maximum we gave out, the second time went up to 25,000. Originally it was 10. We upped it to 25. I think 5 of the 9 that we approved on the second round had applied in the first round, so they went from 10 to 25, just to let you know. But we've only had maybe 19 total businesses, 19, 20 businesses total that have applied for grants.
I assume if you increase the maximum, we'd probably get some additional applications from previous
Right.
recipients.
I'm sure we would.
I mean, as far as waiting until November, I have no problem. I guess no opinion either way. However, it's easier to handle.
I guess it's just how many times you have to go in and look at the information. If we just do it once at the end of November, they can include everything, through November.
Is that okay by everybody?
Julie?
I'd be willing to hear what our staff says.
I think that would be okay. The only concern I have is how far down the road do we get that it'll be too late. If there is a business that it's going to be a tipping point of them staying in business or not, how far down the road do you get that it's going to be too late for them if they get a grant in December? I agree that it's kind of weird that the state of Illinois told us we could add basically the entire year of 2021 expenses to this, but yet we have to have it paid out by December 31st, 2021. So I was like, how are you supposed to do that? But I don't know, as far as on the other question of raising the grant, I would hope that we can get some people who haven't applied before. There are probably, of those 5 that reapplied, there's probably 2, maybe 3 that still 25,000 didn't meet the expenses they had in 2020. Because this could still include 2020 expenses also. There are still some businesses out there that I know surely could use it. The movie theater, comes to mind that, because I assume, they just opened back up here in June. So, I would hope that some of those businesses would apply, but.
What do you think would be inhibiting those businesses from applying?
I'm not really sure. Lack of.
Accountant?
I had one lady who called me in the first round, and she was like, all I have is paper and pencil. I said, as long as it's legible and, you can swear that that's your books, then that's good enough. I mean, it doesn't have to be, made up by a CPA or anything along that line, as long as you can list out and give me the documentation to prove that that's your expenses. That was, good enough. So it's not like I'm ready to jump back in and do another round of these, but you get to the point where you kind of got it down to a system, so it's not quite as daunting as it was the first time around.
So are we wanting to raise the maximum amount or not?
I mean, if you go 25, if you raise it up above 25,000, if you have 4 people apply, that's gonna probably use up all your funds. I don't know.
Yeah. I think we should just hold it where it's at, try to get some more businesses to participate.
Do you want to do 2 application opportunities, say August 1st and November 30th? I mean,
You know, maybe we do August 1st, and maybe we expend it all.
Yeah.
Right.
Other than August 1st. I mean, that would be the hope, right?
Right.
That we can get rid of it.
Right. You know, and unfortunately, like in the last round, I had a business call. They had received that business improvement grant from the state, and they had only received $10,000. He said, you know, you're offering 25. I have 25,000 in expenses. Can I apply? And unfortunately, this is still going to be under those rules that if they've got that grant, they can't get this one. But you know, if there, I know there are. We had what, 20 that got that grant, so you know that there's a lot of businesses out there yet in Morton that didn't. You know, and I know that they haven't all applied for our grant, so hopefully we can capture some of those and get them. You know, one of the people that wasn't so concerned with making up for past expenses. She's going to use it to add on to her existing building, do some improvements in that respect. So she's going to take the funds and use it for that purpose. So, you know, it's not like they have to be destitute and need the money. I'm just not real sure what the issue could be.
So is August 1st and November 30th okay with you, Julie?
Yeah.
Why don't we do that, then maybe the money can get in their hands quicker.
Okay. Do we need a motion, or is consensus good enough?
I'm satisfied with consensus. I think we administered the entire
Right.
second program off consensus.
Right.
So.
Okay. So we'll do that. We'll announce it for August 1st and November 30th. It can include expenses in 2021 as well as 2020, but they still have to show a 25% reduction in revenue over those months compared to 2019. Okay?
Yep.
All right. All right. That's all I have tonight, Your Honor.
Any other trustees have anything tonight? If not, no closed sessions are needed, so if we could have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.